Ladies and gentlemen, race fans, it's time to wind them up. Let them loose. Green flag is in the air.
Alright everybody, Corey from Sizzle Nation here. Just wanted to do a quick video on the hot topic these days. That is multi-groove, or the lack thereof multi-groove racing on iRacing. Just going to give a quick video on why we have, what we had before, and kind of the path I need to go to fix it. Disclaimer, nothing I say here is of total science. I do not work for iRacing. I don't talk to anybody from iRacing directly. This is strictly on just being a longtime member, following the forums, knowing what staff has said on it, and piecing everything together. So take that with a grain of salt, and I hope this video is informative to you. So I think the best way to start this off is to explain how multi-groove racing works in reality, and just kind of explaining how iRacing began with it. So iRacing, as we know, kind of built off of NR 2003. It's vastly improved and changed and reprogrammed, but there are some very basic core fundamentals that are still the same. And the most basic is the track surface. The track surface from apron to wall is treated as one object. So what happens on the bottom is what happens on the top. So we'll illustrate that on the screen right now. You can see we use Chicagoland Speedway as our example for this because it is one of the best tracks in iRacing, and it always has been the best multi-groove track that we've had when everything was working. So for the sake of example, again, all these numbers are made up just as reference. So I picked 85%. So from apron to wall, the way that iRacing codes everything, it is one value. So because of that, if you run the bottom of the track, it's geometrically the fastest groove, but it also provides you an equal amount of grip to anything higher than that. So there's going to be no benefit to running a higher groove because there's going to be no additional grip. You're just running the longer way around with nothing to overcome that within our basic physics model that we have now. Now, of course, in real life, the grooves are going to be dynamic. They're not going to be, individualized, separated grooves as we have here. You may have the grooves on the track, whether it be painted or seams, but the grip is going to flow dynamically depending how the cars run. For the sake of example and easing this, we've just made lanes 1, 2, and 3, and you're going to see that referenced throughout the video. So this is, again, fake numbers, but real concepts. This is what you're going to see for a real-world grip. So for the case in point, we have 85% grip on the bottom lane because why? Over the years, 20 years of Chicago being open, the bottom is going to wear out the most. More cars have run the bottom over the years. They've wore out that asphalt more. The teeth of the asphalt, if you will, are smoothed out. They aren't gripping those tires as much. You cannot carry as much speed down there. Therefore, the higher you go up the track over the years, that pavement has a little bit more grit to it. It's going to grip those tires better. So because of that, you can see 90 in the middle. The top is the freshest pavement. And really, I should have put a little line right up by the fence, all the way up by the wall, the Larson line. And if anything, that might be 98%. Because that has been the least used bit of asphalt over the course of the track's history. So that is going to be the better amount of grip. So the higher you go up the track, the more grip that you will have driving on it because of the fact that the track is less wore out. So your additional length traveled is made up for by the fact that you're going faster with more grip. That is how it works for the most part in the real world. So now let's take that information that we've had and let's progress that to how multi-groove used to work on iRacing. When NTM6 was out prior to the last build of 2019 and before that, this is how we got multiple grooves to work. It was solely based on heat. The dynamic track system does account for rubber, marbles, and that such, but the way that the tire model worked was largely heat. So the hotter the track got, the less grip that it provided. So now the bottom groove It's in red. That's the hottest groove on the track. That's where the most amount of cars were running originally. So remember the 85% track temp that we gave before, 85% track grip we gave before. Now it's down to 75 now. So now the middle, more cars started running the middle groove. So now that's at 80. So now there's more grip. There's an advantage to running up the track. But nobody has ventured in the third groove yet in our example. That still has that 85% track grip rather. It has that 85% original track grip that we started with. So technically if you ran there, you're going to have a significant grip advantage. So if you ran the top, you would be at an advantage to running the bottom. Now to translate that into new tire model 7, which is where we stand right now. Again, remember 85% being our starting track grip that we kind of made up for this video. With new tire model 7, rubber, track rubber is the most important thing. The more rubber on the track, the more the track is used, the faster that line gets. So for road racing, that is actually more how it works. On road racing, you know, GT racing, Formula 1 racing, the track will speed up over the weekend with more rubber in the track. With NASCAR, we kind of hit a threshold where we need rubber. We don't want a green track. We want some rubber in the track and we want some heat in the track. But we hit that point where we don't want too much. Because when we hit the too much point, that's where it gets slick. And that's where, again, in real life, the multi-groove comes in. But on iRacing, it only gets grippier the more rubber that goes down. So as you can see, on the inside groove, we started at 85%. Now we're at 95%. So we've actually gained grip from what we started at. So 95% on the bottom groove, people washing up, you know, getting past on the outside. They are putting a little bit of rubber in there, 88%, so the outside has gained a little bit of grip, not nearly as much as the bottom, which is why it's pretty much getting out to lunch when you're up there. And then, of course, the top groove, which was our preferred groove before, we had the most grip up there before because of the fact that it was the freshest. We are at our original grip level of 85%. So that is why there's no advantage to being up top. You've actually lost grip from where the race has started, rather than the inverse of the bottom losing grip and us searching around. So that is why it is actually more of a disadvantage now than it was before. Because going back to our overall track model, as we look at our one surface at 85%, this is how it was for the first 7 years of iRacing. So if you were on the bottom, 85%. If you're in the middle, 85%. You're not actually at a disadvantage with grip. You're just at a disadvantage with distance. Now, it's both. We're at both a grip disadvantage and a distance disadvantage, which completely ruins any chance that we have. Alright, that's great, Corey. Now I know a bunch of crap that I didn't know before, but how do they fix it? Well, there's two ways that they have to fix it. It's kind of two things in tandem to do this accurately, which is how they want to do it. They have to get their surface level. They have to recreate how they make track surfaces, probably in their actual sandbox software. They have to go and be able to assign different grip values, not in a 1, 2, 3, lanes like I did. They have to make an actual gradient that gives less grip on the bottom and more grip on top. That's realistic to how wore out that track really is. That is what they are working on. They have said they're working on an abrasion model, but they have to A, develop the technology for it so that the system is capable of doing it. And then they B, have to go back one by one to every track and actually assign the grip values for every track. That is going to be a project, a massive project. Secondly, the tire model and rubber interaction with the surface has to be fixed because, again, we aren't hitting a threshold. We aren't hitting a point where the rubber goes from being a good thing to a bad thing. We don't have that. So they have to hit that threshold so that once you get the track too hot and too much rubber, running in that hot rubbered in lane is actually going to be slick and then make you want to chase around to those cooler, unused parts of the track. But they also have to do that in a way that doesn't break road racing. So whether they make a separate road surface model or they just really get good with this tire model, both of those have to happen. In the meantime, we hope that there's something they can do to fudge it, because obviously we don't want to wait 2 more years or however long it takes. We understand it's a lot of hard work, then they're working on it, and we know they're perfectionists, and it bothers them watching their Coke races like this. But we got to figure out some kind of interim gap fix to this, because obviously it's not fun.